So good morning, folks. Like last session, we discussed the static applications and dynamic applications. So the static applications do get created to these three, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We have dynamic applications where we do create through Java, Python, Node.js, and .NET. There are other stuff as there are other languages and other frameworks as well. So what the Java is a language, whereas the platform where we do develop the web applications, it's called a framework. Okay, so that is the Spring Boot. And for dynamic applications, we do have something which is something called front end and back end. Okay. Yeah. So this is the front end where the user sees, okay, or the user interacts. And this is the back end where the server is trying to pull the data from the database or it's doing some processing. Okay. So as an example, let's say if I'm trying to request for something like my exam results or something, okay, or what are all the items in my order? Sorry, what are all items in my cart? Okay, or what is my latest messages, right? In WhatsApp or Telegram. Okay, or I'm querying for cabs available in my area. Okay, and so everything is a query when you are doing something, when you are accessing something. So everything is a query. Okay, so usually it would be a get call. So yeah, all these are queries. Usually it will be a get call. So we are sending these queries to the server, where server will do the processing and it will send us in the backend. Okay, it will send to the backend. Okay, so the server has set of logic mentioned where if people are requesting for exam results, so you are supposed to take the input as input parameters here. Okay. Okay, something like roll number. Similarly, items in my cart means like whether the user is authenticated or not. Okay, after that, the messages, do they have the authentication token or not? And the caps available in my area. So what here we do look for is the source and destination, where and all the user is requesting for. So the web application front end will take the parameters, it will sanitize it, it will show the look to the user, and the backend is the way the data stores, or I can say it's a backend, but there could be multiple things here. Okay, something like you have a MQ message queue where we will store the data. Okay, we do have something similar, the pops up. Okay, and we do have something like this. We do have multiple Redis. Okay, the cache. Okay, otherwise the actual database. So we do have multiple components like this in the backend. It doesn't mean it's just a database. Okay, so in the database we do form the query. Okay, the query can be like, okay, select name comma result from exams where username is equal to something. Okay. So similarly, it goes the similar thing for messages, caps, and all. So this will go as a get query. Okay. And let's say if you're trying to something, if you are trying to get the data, something like if you're trying to update, then it will be a post. Okay. So let's take this one as an example. So yeah, it said my age is 5 years, and then it's saving the data. Okay. So what will I do? I'll go to inspect and right click, check on the network. Okay. So This is a pause and start recording. So here what happens is your HTML elements, if your server is throwing out any errors, okay, uh, or the data sources, where and all the data is loading from, okay, and your performance. So we do have multiple set of the insights here, okay. So usually the developers use this for troubleshooting. So we can also go through it, okay. So I'm started recording, so it will record the response and request messages, okay. So I don't know how to increase this, but let me. Yeah, so what's happening here? So when I was sending for a call, okay, so I sent a get call HTTP 5000/DOB. So this is my URL, server URL. The request method is get, and the status code is 200 OK. And when I was sending, the response came like this. Okay. So let me take it to a notepad. And similarly, if we go to the other one, the script.js is nothing but a JavaScript is not getting modified, JavaScript getting executed, and other static elements, something like your images or any other thing. So yeah, there are two calls. So one call is the first call is where we are trying to get the data, like the server data. Okay. The second call is where it's trying to reload. So what will I do? I'll just hit an entry. Yeah. Now, if I do submit, it will make a post call. Okay. Yeah. If I do submit, it will make a post call. That means you are changing the data in the server. Okay. If I otherwise we are just reading the data, that would be a get call. Okay. So now I'm doing a submit. 8 7 years. Okay. So two calls came in. The first call is here. This is a post call, as in we are asking server to update the data, and the payload is this. The request payload is this. DOB is equal to this parameter, and preview. DOB saved. The message came in. Okay. And again, we are doing a get call here. Okay. Uh, we do have more tools here. I'm trying to find the font size, but that's okay. I think, yeah, here it is. Yeah, I'm not able to find the font size, but that's okay. So this is how the calls are. Okay. I know the screen is little small, but let me, yeah. And if you see the server side, right? This is the server side log. Okay. So what it's doing, first it got a get call, and this is all loading the static elements, JavaScripts and icon and all. And yeah, so we do get a get call, and then we got a post call. Okay. So again, we got a post call, like the last one which we sent. Okay. So it's the same thing. So server will have a record of what and all data is coming from, where it is coming from, and this is called the server log, and we can see from the client side what and all the data we sent. Okay. So this itself is something called API calls. Okay. There is a REST API. So what is you meant by API calls is, okay. So let's say you're opening a Paytm website, okay. Paytm or any other website, okay. You are querying for something like movies, okay, or train tickets, or something like bus tickets, okay. So what exactly happens here is, so now the data will not store in the Paytm database, okay. That will never happen. So like something like someone else is trying from the Amazon, okay, and someone else is trying from the APSRTC, okay, or DGR. So multiple people, they're trying from the travel bus tickets, okay. So whom they will request is the APSRTC has a data. They also have a API. So what happens is they will write the API calls properly so that people can attack, people can hit the API. Okay, so this is their REST API. And the API call will be stored into your database. Okay, so the API call will go and hit your database. So, yeah, let's consider this is your database. Okay, like IRCTC database. Okay. Let's call it something like yeah. Okay, so now everyone is looking for train tickets. So everyone will send a request to this REST API provided by IRCTC. Okay, so this is what happens. And the REST API is nothing but we are defined a proper API calls and we expose the API to the other people. Okay. So otherwise, what happens is I cannot go and look for the details manually. Okay. Every time, okay, what are all my train tickets available for this particular regions and all. So the API calls will be calls will be used, and every time to get the manual data, it will be little difficult. Okay, so we cannot do something like an automation or API calls. So IRCTC expose their REST API to the other people. Okay. So for that they will provide authentication tokens and all. Okay. Credentials. Let's call it credentials for simplification. Okay. So they provided the credentials. So other people, if they're able to provide the credentials and they can hit the IRCTC API, so then only they can get the data. Okay, what kind of data they will get? So they will get, okay, for boss, for this particular for this particular date, this particular time, this particular source, this particular destination. So you have this many trains available and this many seats available, this much data available. Okay, so it's a query and result response. Okay. And it's the same thing. It will give to Amazon. It will give to Yatra also. So Paytm, we do book for the movies and also, right? So I'm not sure whether the theater management or someone else is managing. Okay. So if we go here, we do have Book My Show. Okay. And we do have, what is it, District tab. Okay. And we do have Inox. So let's assume all the DATs are managed by this Inox. Okay. Uh, so what we are looking for, we are looking for tickets. Okay. So everyone is trying to look for tickets. So let's say the PVR Inox expose their API. Okay. So this is the API. And everyone can talk to this API, get the data they want. Okay. for boss this much this for this movie, okay, for this date, how many shows are available, okay, how many tickets are available, okay. So this movie, this dates, tickets, how many are filled and how many are unfilled, what is the data, okay. So for every time when you are hitting a browser, okay, or even when you're trying to use your apps are also nothing like if you're trying to use a mobile app, basically it's made to hit the API, that's it. So and API, they will have a database, of course, okay. So let's see. Okay. See, the first one is in bookmyshow.com, explore home slash Vijayawada. Okay. So when I'm trying to hit a record and do a refresh and stop. Okay. So my first call is this. Okay. So what it's saying, so what it's saying in my bookmyshow.com slash Vijayawada. So it's doing a get call to get the information and get 200. So here 200 okay is the response code where it's got the data as it's required. Okay. So that is the 200 okay. So it's like server is responding is with proper data. Okay. And that's what happens even here also. We got the 200 okay. Okay. So now what we are looking for, see, it's going for cloudfare. Okay. So I'll explain what is that. And it's got multiple. Oh, this is a Kubernetes application. Okay. So it got multiple calls. So this is what happened. Okay. So this is a call defined explore slash home slash Vijayawada. So explore is the get results and home Vijayawada is these are the parameters. The Vijayawada is the parameter here, city parameter. Okay. And what else we have? So I'm not. So what happening here is what my guess is. Okay. So all these calls, like when we are trying to do a get call, explore and all. Okay. So it comes from the user outside. So all these API calls, they are happening internally from their servers. Okay. So the bookmyshow servers, they are like they are trying to hit the PVR Rhinox and get the data. Okay. So this is a sample of how the request response codes works like. Okay. So why do we so how exactly the API works? Okay, we can try this. Postman. Okay. I'll try this downloading this one, the Postman. We can also do something, a curl call. Okay. Uh, so this is a lightweight client of Postman. So we can also use the curl. Okay. So curl to hit this one. Okay. So what we'll do, ping 127 dot. Okay. Ping 127.0.1. Okay, I know it will go to localhost. Okay, so what? How can I simulate the problem? Okay, I can try git bash. Yeah, I have a git bash to do the curl call. Okay, so let me see. Curl is a Linux utility to hit a web browser. Okay, so what I'm doing, HTTP localhost slash my UI is the BMI, right? Okay, BMI and no, sorry, DOB curl hyphen x get. Okay, my server is running in port 5000. Okay, 127.0.1 port 5000. Mhm. Okay, let me connect to, I think, all my Linux servers are off. Yeah, let me give a shot. So meanwhile, I'll show it with the post. So what will I do? I'll take this request parameter, okay, the URL parameter. So I'll paste it here. So Postman is a tool where most of the developers use it to test their APIs. Okay. So I'm sending a get call to it. I'm not sending any authorization token because I didn't set up any authentication. So yeah, this is what. So when I'm hitting my URL with this DOB parameter, DOB is the, like, let's say the server call. We specified, okay, uh, subpath, we can say sub URL. Okay. So when you are hitting this particular DOB application, so we got these entries. Okay. So what will I do? I'll change it to post call. Okay. And with the post call, I need to submit some parameters. Okay. So how does that look like? Content type is equal to JSON, key is equal to DOB 2000 1995 0515. Okay. So we'll give it a try. Okay. Unsupported, did not assume load JSON. Okay. So just a Yeah, these are all the samples I got online. Okay, so for different one, it might change. So here, my application is returning the data in JSON. So this is what it's saying. So now I'm trying to send the parameter. Okay, so the server mentioned 400 bad request. Okay, so I'll make a note of this. Let me make a call again. Fail to decode expecting line one. Okay. Yeah. So this is the format I'm supposed to send. So I send it to raw JSON. Okay. I entered my DOB in this format and I send the parameter as this. So yeah, it's trying to save the data every time. And let's say I changed it to 19T2. Yeah, yeah, it's saved. Okay, let's say if I send it to this some dummy data. Okay. So what it mentioned, 500 internal server error. Okay. So because I requested a wrong data. Okay. So if I go to my server, you'll see what happened. So what happened? My application crashed here. Okay. So trace back, why it crashed? Because the date format, whatever I provided is not correct. Okay. So for this, what we are supposed to do is, okay. So we need to define the data as in checks. Okay. As in like, okay, whether the customer or the end user, okay, is sending the data correctly. How we do? So we can add a parameter here, the JavaScript parameters, okay, to check the data. The digit should be supposed to be only 4 digits, okay, and the year range must be in this value, okay, year range and month range, date range, okay. So like these are all checks we are supposed to do from the UI itself, like as in the front end UI when the user is ingesting the data. And similarly, even for API also, we need to set up like API, like once the data is getting, right? So we need supposed to add exceptions. Okay. When the data is coming incorrectly, we are supposed to add an exception. We should not let our application throw out an error. Okay. It can throw the error to the user. We should not let it happen like this. So we are supposed to add exceptions everywhere. Okay. So this is a dummy code I written. So that's why like we didn't follow complete rules and all. Okay. So as I mentioned, we have the post call and we have a get call. Okay. So let's say if we need something like more exercises and all. Okay. I'll go through the most popular ones. Okay. So 301 is a redirection. Okay. And you have a authentication issue. I don't know. Yeah, 401. Okay. So how will I do this? I'll clean this. I'll clear my cookies. Yeah, I think the signing is not there. Okay. So okay, see if you see the parameter how they written. Okay, so when I'm entering the data, okay, I didn't add the @gmail.com here for the email. Okay, so what happening? The UI is doing the live check for this through the JavaScript. Okay, and is someone trying to annotate? Okay, so the UI is doing the live check for this. If the user added @ or not. Okay. So added after that I'm supposed to fill some entries. Okay, @yahoo.com, @gmail.com, or @protonmail.com, right? So it didn't send the data to server, but it's checking the data here itself in the client side validation involved. Okay. So yeah, we do have something called client side validation, and we do have something called server side validation. Okay, so the client side validation handles by the JavaScript and whatever the JavaScript we mentioned. Okay, the server side validation works through the Python code or any the framework, right? So now let's see. I'll try to hit a wrong email. Okay, so yeah, my continue button got enabled. Okay, So let me do a clear. Okay. So stop recording. So I cleared all my entries. I'm hitting continue. Okay. Yeah, I'm 4, 5, something. I'm just entering a wrong one. Okay. I'll try one more thing. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So now if you see the codes clearly, so it mentions separate code 498. But what happened? We are trying to send the parameters, the authentication parameters, the authentication throwed out error. Okay. And if I go to Paytm, yeah, let me try the playground. Okay. So API playground, if there is anything available. So I'm trying to see if there is any mock servers. Okay. So yeah. So this is how a Swagger doc looks like. So what happens when the developer is writing the application, right? Like once the application has been written, once they publish the APIs, right? So what they do, they will mention the documentation like this. So what a post call looks like and what are all the parameters we are supposed to send. Okay. And how a get call looks like. And we can do the delete also. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll try get call here. Yeah, so this is the curl call. This is the curl call looks like curl hyphen x pet store 52. We are sending in the JSON format. So we are sending the parameters. So I can try loading for Google also. Okay. So let me try curl for. So that's what happens. So what I'm trying to do, so I'm trying to load the database. Sorry, I'm trying to load the Google page. So it loaded all the Google page entries through the curl call like this. Okay. So there is we can use curl for download also. So this is just a introduction to APIs. So we are not going in deep, but it's like what happens in and around the server. So one part I didn't mention is about the authentication. So the authentication could be multiple things were there. So we have a basic authentication like username and password. And we have a OAuth based authentication. Okay. So, and we have a SAML SSO. So what is like we'll get a bearer token here. We will send our entries. We'll get a bearer token. So we'll have a SSO authentication as in through Google or through Facebook. We are trying to do a login, right? So all that part. Maybe we can build an application in future and we can give it right how this authentication part works. But for now, these are all the basics. So we have a front end and we do have a back end. If the developer positions are like this, the developer positions like who will write the JavaScript for the front end and all. And we do have a backend engineers, so who will write the Python code or the related Spring Boot framework and all. Other than this, let me show you how the services looks like, right? So now we defined a service called a DOB, right? Database, the date of birth. Okay. So let's say here itself, the Paytm is giving multiple services, right? Okay. Let's take a look at it. So they do have mobile recharge, they do have DTH, they do have insurance, electricity, loan EMI, flights, bus, travels. So even if I take Amazon, okay. So what and all we can see, Amazon Fresh, mobiles, electronics. Here itself we have orders, wish list. We do have a Prime service. We do have a receipts related thing, or we do have a customer care, right? So if I come back, what happening is we do have multiple services here. Okay, three, four. Okay, so not putting any color. Yeah, so we do have multiple services here. Let's call it this one as payments. This one as customer care. Okay, so this one is for travel. And movies. Okay, so we do have our, let's say, books, something like we covered orders, payments, what else is it? Fashion. So let's say we have Amazon.com.in. So it's trying to cover multiple services. Okay, so these multiple services, it's just not hosted in a single server. They might be hosted in a multiple servers. Okay, so the multiple servers could look like this. So we do have server 1, server 2, server 3. Okay, so I can put these whole block here. So yeah, it's just not 6 servers. Okay, the servers could be so many. Okay, there is no number because they use multiple strategies to spin up multiple servers. Okay, so we do have multiple servers hosted multiple services. Okay, as in like something like we return one service, one application to create a date of birth, to check the date of birth and save it. Right. So here they have a multiple web applications. Okay, and we do have a single Amazon.com. Okay. Now, the server could, each server can host multiple services. There is no rule that, okay, the server is supposed to host, and we also have the databases for that. Okay. So 1, 2, okay. Okay. So this is how a simple web application looks like when you're trying to use any app or anything. Okay. So when I'm trying to hit any something like movies, okay, the movies service could be hosted from multiple servers. Okay. And multiple servers can give you the answer. Okay. So each server can host multiple applications. Okay. This is what I'm trying to show you here. Okay, so I have a question here. So we have hundreds of thousands or thousands of servers. Okay, and we do have, let's say, millions, let's say some hundreds of applications. Applications, copies with some copies, something like 300 copies. Let's assume. Okay. So 300 copies of application, not just a single copy. Overall, there are 300 copies serving your application. Okay. So my question is, how when a user is trying to hit a, okay, this is a user. Okay, so the user just sending like, okay, boss, I want to book a ticket, okay, a movie ticket and all. So I'm trying to hit a date entry to the server as a post call. Okay, so how the Amazon server or the whole infrastructure will decide this call, this particular post call should go to this movie application. Okay, so how it will find this particular application in these thousands of servers. So thousands of servers, thousands of applications and all. Okay, or let's say hundreds of applications or hundreds of copies. So how many in all these things, okay, how the server will decide if it is a movie related request, it should go and hit these particular servers where the movies application is hosted. So how the network call, okay, or let's call it traffic redirection. Okay. Something like if it is coming like trucks are coming, it's supposed to go this particular road. Okay. If there are small bikes are coming, this particular road. Okay. Or let's say someone is trying to go to some location A, like it's supposed to go this particular road, right? So all the traffic direction or redirection. So this is taking care. So do you know which component handles it? Any idea, guys? There's no wrong answer, but yeah, just give it a try. So which component handles this service redirection and all in multiple servers,
Is
multiple
it
applications?
load? Is it load balancer?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what. That's it. So that is nothing but load balance. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll this remove this entry and yeah, this is what. So how a yeah, let's say how a standard application looks like is this. So when user is trying to hit it, so the first thing what happens is DNS entry, DNS call. So you know only Amazon.com. Okay. So let's call when we are trying to hit the Amazon.com like this, the load balancers. So there is no single load balancer. There could be multiple load balancer. Okay. So this is one. This is two. Okay. So this. So how can I see this? How we are saying like there are multiple load balancers. Yeah, let me show you. So when I'm hitting a DNS call Amazon.com, the load balancer IP address, right? So it will have multiple load balancer. So it will try to hit the multiple servers or multiple entries, right? So that would go look like this. So I will go to DNS checker. Okay, DNS checker. Yeah, I'll try hitting an entry, something like google.com. So if you see, there is no single IP address. Okay, 142, 250, 142, 251, 216, 58. So what's happening? It has a load balancers everywhere, every server, I mean, every country or different places to do the purpose. Okay, so I'll try for. So even the Paytm, I try Paytm.com, it has a standard load balancer as in 64.50, 61.51. Okay. So what happens is, so here, which port it does the makes the calls? Okay, so what will I do? I'll try to check for which port it is. So I can try NC. So what will I do? I'll try to do the telnet. Yeah. So this is doing port 80 and this would do port 443, I guess. Yeah. And what happens here? So the user sees only this particular load balancer. Okay, and we call it. So this is the public view. Okay, the users cannot see all this private. Okay. So this is all called something called public private network. Okay, so this is the public network and this is the private network. So only the load balancers or SBCs are there. So they are the first entry. Okay. So the first thing is the DNS call. Second thing, we are hitting the load balancer. And the third thing, the servers are going through a mesh of multiple servers and all. So there is no clue when you're sending a request, it's hitting this particular one. Okay. It could go to anywhere. And I'll ask you a generic question. Okay. So let's say I spin up 10,000 servers. Okay. And I am trying to do the DNS calls like a curl call. Okay. To my website. Okay. So that every second you are getting 1 million requests. Okay. So what happens? Your server infrastructure will get weakened down. So all the servers will be busy when an actual user is trying to get the data. Okay, get access the your website. They won't get a reply. Okay. So my question is, how do you solve this problem? Any idea? So basically, you are getting brute force or DDoS. This is called DDoS, distribution denial of service. Okay. So yeah, your server is under DDoS. Okay. So what is the thing you can do? Any hints, guys?
Is it rate limiting?
Okay. Rate limiting can happen in the application. Yes, that could be one solution. But rate limiting, it works at API level. We can use, I think, fail to ban. Okay. Yeah, fail to ban. It will be like multiple login attempts or something. So we can do fail to ban also. Okay, rate limiting is a good thing. Okay, we can do fail to ban. Rate limiting, you can say like, okay, if the number of failures are more, okay, so it will block the particular user or particular IP address. Okay, so we can do the control of that. Okay, so it can work at API level. Okay, so that is okay. Any other choices? Your load balancers are getting a lot of traffic and they're not serving. Any other?
Auto scaling.
No, auto scaling is serving the users directly. Like, see, the 10,000, you're getting 1 million requests. So auto scaling for just for others. So in the dynamically, let's say you have 10 servers, you're dynamically increased to 100 servers. Okay, so that's what auto scaling does. But you have a limit there. Okay, but it's not a solution. Okay, any other things? Okay, so for this problem, okay, so there is a firewall. Okay, yeah, as you told, the rate limiting, there is a firewall thing. Okay, and one company came up this for this solution. There are multiple solutions. Okay, just not. Yeah, you do have something called WAF. AWS provides the WAF, Web Application Firewall. Okay. And one company came for a solution that is Cloudflare. Okay. So we seen this Cloudflare somewhere. Okay. Let me show you where did we see. This is the logo. This is the logo. Right. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I think book my shirt. This is where we see. Okay. So if I go to networks, what the network calls it's doing. Okay. So the first one. Somewhere I've seen the Cloudflare entry. I'm not getting it, but somewhere I've seen the Cloudflare entry. So what exactly is Cloudflare is? So it does the same thing as in it protects your infrastructure from traffic request. Okay. So yeah. And why we are talking about Cloudflare? Because major companies are using Cloudflare to protect their infrastructure. Okay. So from the DDoS at least. So what they do, basically they will keep the Cloudflare load balancer. Okay. Or there is a Cloudflare firewall. Okay. Here we can keep the firewall. You have a firewall, you have a DNS. Otherwise, we can set up the Cloudflare DNS itself. Okay. Instead of doing everything, so we can set up the Cloudflare DNS. So the first set of entry. Okay. So I can see Cloudflare customers. Yeah. If you see here, so they say SoundCloud, Vimeo, everyone, like most of the people they're using. Okay. So let's see top customers. Yeah. Apple, Microsoft, Medium, Fever, Canva, Discord, Udemy. Okay. So it's around everywhere and everyone, most of the people are using Cloudflare. Okay. So let's try for Canva where the request is going. Okay. Okay. So the first request goes .com.in. Okay. Dynamic. We got an entry. Okay, I don't see any Cloudflare related thing here. So what will I do? I'll do a NS lookup. So DNS checker. So it's saying this IP address. So what will I do? Who is? Yeah, that is what. So the first entry is going to the Cloudflare. So what they are doing, whenever I'm hitting the canva.in, so the entries are going to the DNS. Okay, here they are using the Cloudflare DNS to handle the traffic. Okay, so from the Cloudflare, all the data is traveling through this inside the Canva, and from there they are doing the sales, the transactions, basically the web calls. Okay, so I think by here I'll be concluding the web application related things. So it's just to know how developers write the web applications. Okay, what and all happens in and around the web applications, and how the web application calls come and go through. Okay. We can go into maybe in an advanced session. Why do we need it? All the applications hosted in all the web applications we are trying, all the let's say, yeah, all the web applications we are trying, or all the calls applications we are working on in DevOps. Okay, most of them are the web applications. Okay, so there are web services as well, but mostly are web applications. It's good to know all these basics and to proceed forward. The next set of entry, I am trying to take a break. Maybe in the next week. Maybe tomorrow, I'm trying to look at the. We can look at the Nginx from here, or we can take a look at the GitHub also. Okay. Yeah, I'll see based on the feedback. Maybe I can try to cover both, either Nginx and GitHub. And the syllabus, sorry, the topics. Okay. So the topic which we're gonna discuss. So we have Nginx, and we have a GitHub, Git, Jenkins as in CI/CD. Okay, and we do have Ansible, and we do have a Docker, and okay. So if people are asking how about AWS, yes, I am thinking of keeping AWS at last because Docker is a short topic. As in 2 sessions, K8 is a big one, and AWS is also a big one. So I'm thinking like which one to go through, like how to go through the what to say, proper way to get through. Okay, so yeah, I think we started digging into actual DevOps. So I'm trying to cover these two at the first shot. Maybe Nginx, and then we'll start with the Git, and we'll go through this. So either to cover AWS first or K8 first, that's optional. We can go however we want. And the thing is, guys, like we are already covering most of the AWS topics, like offline. Okay. So we are using, without using cloud, we are trying to do everything here. So in spin-up, we can do spin-up AWS, and we can do the same thing. So, okay. Any queries, the topics we covered till now? Yeah, any queries, guys? Any doubts?
Nothing from my side.
Okay. Yeah, Prasad. Yeah. Okay, guys. So yeah, just ping me if you think, okay, I do need to change the topics flow. Okay, how we are going. Yeah, and then yeah, maybe if things are done, I was thinking, okay, maybe we can start once all the things are covered. Maybe we can go back and start the monitoring and logging also. But I'm thinking to take that as last. So yeah, that's all. Thank you, guys. And recording.